I'm really sorry because my nose is stuck at the moment because I have the cold and it's been with me for a couple of days now and it's very hard to sleep at night because I can't breathe. How did October end so quickly? Hey guys, my name is Anna and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do a October wrap-up video and a November TBR. So let's start with the first book that I have read in October. First book is The Gateway by M.M. Paquin. So it is the first book in the series she is just starting, which is called the Mark of the Fae series. This follows a girl named Shayla and she's living in a small town where people know each other and she just wants to get out. She can't wait to get to college, to get out of that small town and go big. Before she leaves town, she discovers something about her past, some things that her parents never told her but they couldn't tell her because of some situation that just happened. And I do like the story. I do like the world that the author has created in this story, but it's very dragging and not much has happened. But I do understand that the title is The Gateway, so the story is really taking place in the actual gateway. Like there is a door and you gotta go to the other door. So there's this big kind of forest world where you have to pass through, and this basically is the entire gateway, and the book is titled The Gateway, so everything has to happen in that forest in between the doors. However, this involves Fae, obviously, because it's Mark of the Fae. I received an e-arc copy for this book, and overall I think it's very interesting for me, and I would very much want to read the second book because I'm curious on how things will play out. I'm satisfied enough. It's okay for me, but if you're a fantasy reader with lots of action, then this really wouldn't be for you. It's more of a drama. It's an adventure, but it is not an action-adventure story. If you like those things, then you can check it out. Second book I read last month is Breaking Hollywood by Samantha Toll, and I really liked this book. So there's this girl, I forgot her name, and she accidentally ran over the foot of Hollywood's hottest bachelor, and so she has to take care of him, and they always bicker, they always fight, they like to argue with each other, and the fact that they like arguing with each other. When they were at the hospital and the hot guy Gabriel was in pain, he actually said that he prefers to bicker with the girl to get his mind off the pain of his foot, which he ran over. Overall, I really did enjoy this book, and because of their bickering, and they're just really funny, and I would highly recommend this to you if you enjoy romance books with a bit of humor. Third book I read this month is Dubious by Charmaine Pauls. It is the first book in the Lone Shark duet, and I cannot wait to get into the second book because of how the first book ended. I really like this book. Even though it's in the adult romance erotica genre, it truly is a great book. It has an amazing plotline, it's an amazing story. It doesn't just revolve mainly around the two main characters where Gabriel and Valentina, but it also involves their own personal lives and how their personal lives play out in the story. The story is, I don't know if I can say if it's relatable, but the thing is, a broken family, a very demanding and controlling grandmother, a retarded brother, and she is poor. She has to help their brother. She has no parents, and the guy is from a very strong mafia, and their family is the leader of that mafia. You know, mafia, guns and the power and the money. It's actually very interesting, so I highly recommend this book. If you don't like erotica, you can just skip those parts that you do not want to read, but I tell you, it's still very juicy. Fourth book I read this month is I Hate Everyone But You by Gabby Dawn and Allison Raskin. So I know this book has been categorized as a young adult contemporary. It's also in the LGBT genre, but it's not like that. There are two best friends. There's Ava and Jen. One of them turns out to be gay. These two best friends have been friends for a long time, and they have gone to college, and they are miles and miles away from each other because they have gone to different colleges, and the story is written through their emails and their text messages. And this is the first time I've read a book where the writing is in the style I kind of like it, but the ending was kind of rushed and I don't know what I wanted to happen. I don't think there was any other way on how the story could have ended, so I guess that's satisfying. At the end, one of them has admitted to herself that she really needed that thing to happen. She realized something that was wrong with her life. She became a better person out of it. So if you and your best friend are miles away from each other and you are both in colleges and you can only interact through some form of online communication, you might want to read this because I think it would inspire you to never give up on your friendship. Fifth book is Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, The Big Lie by Anthony Del Cobb. This is a graphic novel. It is a compilation of the other serialized comic novels. I think there are 5 of them, and this is the compilation of the 5, and it is made into a book, and this is an art copy I got from NetGalley. I have found it very good actually. For someone like me who has never read a single Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys books, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the mystery in it, and it still followed the pattern where there will be a couple of suspects before you find the murderer or the killer or the guilty party. The art is very wonderful, well drawn. The expressions on the characters' faces are very well seen. But I think for a mystery graphic novel, I think I would still prefer the actual books with lots of words than the graphic novel. The thing with mysteries is they have a lot of things inside their heads. They have a lot of thoughts, and their thoughts would contribute so much to the storyline. In a graphic novel, they can't say much about their thoughts because they are limited and they can only be shown through action. The way they have made this, it's still good, it's still great, it's still understandable. I really enjoy it, and I would love to read more because the story is very curious. And Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, this new graphic novel is not like the old Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys books that you have read, if you have read any of them. They are now in the modern world. They use modern technology, they use cell phone, they even wear modern outfits, and there are also changes in the character personalities, such as Nancy being kind of darker now, and she's kind of like really a rebel, and the Hardy Boys are not really super close anymore. They're not acting as one anymore. I think that is what the new changes are. If you want to know more, just read my review in my blog, and the link is down below. Last book I read in October is Dirty After Dark by Anne Connor. It's a quick read. It can help you get off your reading slump. There's this girl, Sarah. She's a college student taking up, I think, chemistry, biology, something in the science field, and she wants to get extra credit so that she could increase her GPA. So she took an internship rather than take another class. So she applied to an internship to something related to her field, but then her friend tricked her and told her that she has an interview in this company here, and it turns out that that company is a podcast company run by a very sexy and handsome guy, and it turns out that it is a podcast for Dirty After Dark where they talk about relationships and a lot of sex and sexual topics. She went to the interview without knowing where she was because she assumed that it was the interview that was related for her field, but it turns out it wasn't, because after the interview she got accepted and the guy shook her and he said, "Welcome to Dirty After Dark," and that's when it struck her that, oh my god, I'm in the wrong place. It really sent out a message that if you graduated with this degree, it doesn't really mean that the only job you could get is related to this degree. You can venture to other parts of the employee world. That was the core message that I really loved about this book. And so that was my October wrap up, and now let's go to my November TBR. First up is Constant Craving by Tamara Lush. I've already started reading this book and I find it very interesting because there's this girl, Justine, back in college. She dated a guy named Raphael, and Raphael is like a descendant of some Spanish. He has some Spanish blood in him, so he uses some Spanish phrases, some Spanish words, and it sounds really hot. But the thing is, something happened in their past and they broke up, and so now at present, Justine is running the newspaper company that is a legacy of her family, but it is about to go bankrupt. She contacts this certain company, and on the day of their interview, do a business deal. It turns out that the company has recently been bought by Raphael, because Raphael is now this really rich and very handsome hot bachelor in Miami. He is like the king of condos or something like that. They have a name for him, and she has to face her past once again, and she thought she had moved on, but it turns out she really just hadn't. And kind of like the feelings are mutual, and the thing I love about this is that I really am a sucker for second chance stories. Like, if they deserve to have a second chance, and I highly support them to get back together, because I really think that there was something out of their control, or there was something misunderstood in their past and their breakup. I just want them to get back together, and it's gonna be a very bumpy ride for Justine because she is doing her best to. She doesn't want to involve pleasure with business, but Raphael is just like, I can do this. I can separate business from pleasure, but Justine is that you just can't because she can't. She admitted to herself that she can't sleep with someone and not be attracted or not fall for them. So she is avoiding that. She doesn't want to do anything with Raphael, but you know, body speaks a different language, and her body just wants Raphael. The second book I'll be reading this month is Consent by Charmaine Pauls, and it is the book 2 for the Long Short Duet. And like I said, I've really been very excited to read the second book of this duology. Third book is Living the Good Death by Scott Barron. The giver of death is a girl, and she wakes up in a hospital and is in the modern world, and I think this is going to be a very funny read, and I cannot wait to get into this. It's been the ER copy has been sitting in my email for a while now, and I really need to read it and review it for Scott. Next is The Dwellers by Oyinda Ara, which is the first book in the Dwellers Beneath the Arches series. I kind of forgot what this book was about, but I think it has something to do with the past and the present. I get the impression that it has some sort of time travel topic. I don't think they're really gonna time travel. It kind of has that feel to me. It has something to do with a family from the past, and they have come to the present, and there's this girl who needs to help them. And lastly, my most anticipated read from last month is Grand Slam by Tracy Delaney, which is the third book in the Winning A series, and I have been wanting to read this for a while, but I was stuck in a reading slump in October, so I wasn't able to read that much books. And by the end of October, I was catching up on deadlines because I have NatGalley deadline, and so now I can finally read Grand Slam, and it is at the bottom of my list for November, but I'm really hoping I could read it before November ends because I've got lots of other books to read. And that is my November TBR. Let me know if you've read some of these books, or if you want to read some of the books I have mentioned in this video. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, you can give it a thumbs down, but I highly recommend the up. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye!